One question I get asked a lot is, how's it to work with Randy Blaukat? Well, guys, I'm going to share with you my first time meeting Randy Blaukat and getting to work with him and hanging out with him for 5 days last year as we were filming content for Fish the Moment and Bass Fishing Declassified. But before that, guys, I would like to share over on fishthemoment.com, we have our fall map lake breakdowns that Randy puts together, and there's other seasonal other seasonal map lake breakdowns as well. Also on Fish the Moment, we have our one-on-one hour virtual lesson where you can meet with me, talk about lakes, breaking down lakes, how would you attack it, getting ready for a tournament or fishing for fun, and you also can do this with other anglers on the Fish the Moment team. So guys, let me share with you my first time ever meeting Randy Blaukat. And guys, just so you know beforehand, I didn't want to get in this preconceived notion, right, of who he was. So I try to do that with everybody. If I don't know them, I don't try to get in this preconceived, kind of zone of like, oh, he's this or that. I watch Randy's YouTube videos, and he had, good fishing tips, and he'd also, of course, share his thoughts on, if it's this or that. He shares his thoughts on some things. And so, but, I listened, and I just didn't want to get in this tunnel vision that this is who he was. A lot of people said he's just this grumpy old man, or he's just mad, and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And Johnny, who I talk to regularly and work with, Johnny always talked very highly of Randy. So going into it, I didn't want to have a preconceived notion. But guys, so last year when I got hired by Fish the Moment, about 2 months in, we got to go to Table Rock. We got to film content, fish for 4 days. And I'm going to talk more about some of that trip later. But I got to fish against Randy and some challenges, and there's some stuff we've not all put out there yet on the YouTube world. But so I got to do some fishing against Randy. I got to get in the boat with him some, and then hang out with him at the house and just hear him talk and have conversation. And guys, I just want to tell you, man, dude, I was impressed with Randy. And I want to just say this, after the first 30 minutes of just sitting on the couch with him and talking fishing, just talk fishing, okay? I was over here like, this is a good dude. He really was a good guy. I'm like, dude, this is a good dude. And I was intimidated at first, right? Here I am, just some dude that Johnny brought into the YouTube world, content creating, here we go. And then I see Randy Blaukat walk up, and I knew he was already tall. I didn't think he was 6'4", 6'5", right? But he looks, intimidating because he works out, and so that right there was intimidating. But, I was kind of intimidated that hey, I'm about to hang out with Randy Blaukat. So, but guys, he's a good dude. He took me, he acted like I was just another human, and that's what he is. So, guys, a lot of people, just, kind of put these preconceived notions on people, but they don't really get to know them. But guys, during that 5 days, I was impressed with Randy, and I work with him now. He's very smart. I think he's very smart, and not just, I say smart in the whole realm, but he shares a lot of really good fishing tips. He says he's been fishing for 40 years, and it's legit, and he gets to share knowledge that he's learned in those 40 years, and I like to take it in. One thing, as a former coach, we try to watch a lot of film, watch a lot of different clinic tapes, and you try to take a little bit this and this to where you can use. So when I'm editing these videos, or I watch his channel, Matt's channel, Kyle's, Miles, anybody's channel, out there, I try to see if I can use it, or if anything, just kind of remember it, put it in the bank. And so back to Randy, he shares a lot of great fishing tips. Now, some of them might not apply to me or apply to you, but they're pretty solid. So that's one thing, too, just when hanging out with him, he would just how he can talk and how this and that, man, I was just impressed by the guy. Now, even during that trip, y'all, there's a lot of stuff that he talked about in other videos beforehand that I just remembered, like stuff with the crankbait, and then another little deal I don't want to share, but because I want to kind of keep that to myself. But there's a thing he talked about the crankbait, that he actually went out there, put it to use, and caught some good fish. He beat us all in a couple of those challenges, and he beat me for sure in one challenge, man, that little S crank. He kicked my butt with it. So guys, just because he has a platform, and he can talk what he wants to, just like I can, just like you can, and you guys can get on YouTube and talk about what you want to. You don't got to think he's a bad dude, okay, or anybody for that matter, okay? So just in life, don't try to get this preconceived notion if you do not know the people, okay? And it's like with Randy, I'm telling you guys, I enjoy talking to him every time I get. Anytime I get to, I try to always even ask him questions to pick his brain, because I'm trying to learn, okay? Because he, once again, he'll tell you about it. He caught fish before electronics, and that's probably harder to do than it is with electronics, right? Even look at it right now. tournaments are getting dominated in some ways by electronics. I'm just not just saying live scope, but any of them, right? Side scan, down scan. He was part of the guys that did it without, okay? And I know they might say fishing was easier back then. I don't know if that's true or not, because I wasn't back then, right? So anyway, so with anybody, guys, y'all talk to, might be older, experienced, just try to take something in. Try to learn, get something out of them. You don't got to like them, okay? You may say you don't got to like the guy. But I do enjoy working with Randy. I appreciate it, guys. I'm trying to think of anything else I can share from that trip. One thing I will say this, okay? I know I'm 5 minutes in. One thing he did open my eyes to about, I probably should have shared this earlier, on the live scope. One thing, and this was actually, he filmed that podcast with Mercer, and then I got to hang out with him, then the podcast came out. So he was talking about that podcast. But one thing he opened my eyes about on the live scope, and any electronics, it can be, guys, fishing tackle too, fishing gear, fishing lures. It's not just, I don't think, live scope. But fishing, there's one exception, but a couple exceptions, I'm sorry. But fishing's never just had a boundary on electronics. Now, they did, on lures, stop the Alabama rig in big tournaments. They stopped horsepower motors at 250. But electronics, they've just let them keep going. And that opened my eyes, because as a former coach, coaching football, guys, Tom Brady and them look at pictures on the sideline, okay? You don't think, and any NFL quarterback, Joe Burrow, those guys, you see them look at pictures in an NFL game. You think they couldn't look at an iPad and watch that whole play? There's a boundary set by the NFL that, hey, you can't, okay? Guys, you know about the Astros a couple years ago. They tried to start recording and doing some stuff and got axed. So there are boundaries in other professional circuits. Baseball bats, they've even college baseball, they started hitting all them home runs with them special aluminum bats. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, we're going to go backwards. Wooden bats, they're not just having corked bats. think if all these professional baseball player has corked bats today and they're just jacking bombs, right? More people might watch. But guess what? MLB said, nope, we're going to have a wooden bat. We're not going to have that cork in it. So other professional sports have boundaries, and right now fishing has none for electronics, okay? So I'm not here to say what we need to do. I think I'm all about live scope here, okay? I might not be, as I mentioned in another video, 5 transducers on the boat. I think that's ridiculous, okay? Just true stuff. Now, if that's your game, good for you. Cool, I can be your best friend, okay? I can be your friend. I just think one is all you need. Patrick Walters has one. There's other pros that are really good that just have one, so one's enough. But so anyway, guys, I'm not going to get on that. So just on that's one thing Randy opened my eyes on, is like, hey, there's been boundaries set, and there's not been in professional tournament fishing. So anyway, just a thought Randy put in my mind that was very, very eye-opening. But me and Randy had some good talks. It was interesting. I remember now more starting to come to my head, as I had kind of written in my notes that was inside. Me and Randy had a pretty interesting chatterbait or bladed jig talk, and just how different the bladed jig works in colors and scenarios, and even trailers up in the Ozark Lakes where he fishes to down where I'm at in these lowland reservoirs. And so we had some talks there, and even with the line, and he listened. Like, the guy listened to me. He wasn't just over here like blowing me off. And I think Randy does that with other people too. If you go up and talk to him, he'll listen to you, and he'll talk to you. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Like I said, I enjoy working with Randy. I just want to share it with you guys, because it's something I know a lot of people always ask. Even, it was the other day, someone's like, hey, how's it, when's the last time you talked to Randy? And I was like, dude, I talked to him yesterday. So I know I have my podcast, guys. If you're still watching, I'm going to put a podcast right up here. I'm going to plan on having Randy on there one day, okay? Randy said he would. Just one day we're going to get Randy on there, and we're going to go share more into his story, and we're going to go in there and have a great conversation. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Let me know what you think of the video, and we'll see you on the next one.